is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are St. Louis.
This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Cardinals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Tonight from Citi Field in New York, the rubber game between the St. Louis Cardinals and the New York Mets. Jim Hayes is here. That's Tim McCarver. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome to St. Louis Cardinals baseball, the rubber game, and the Cardinals send out their ace. And this guy, Adam Wainwright, has been terrific here in the month of July.
Boy, I should say, one of the great treats of the 2016 season is seeing the improvement of Adam Wainwright. And in July, as Dan said, a .93 earned run average, the best in the major leagues.
So Adam Wainwright, he's on the mound for St. Louis. The Cardinals have been hitting a ton of home runs this month as well. They've homered in 17 straight. They've already matched last year's entire total for home runs. Does it carry over into game number 3? We're about to find out. The New York Mets, St. Louis Cardinals coming up on Fox Sports Midwest. Field. Brats on the grill. Dinner is ready. That means our first pitch is almost here. It's the Cards and the Mets coming up on Fox Sports Midwest. The Academy Sports and Outdoor Leaderboard. Tim talked about this in the open, just how good Adam Wainwright has been in July. Tied for third in wins, first in ERA, whip and home runs allowed outstanding, and also strikeout to walk ratio. That's a look at your Academy Sports and Outdoor Leaderboard. Logan Verrett with our first pitch from Citi Field when we come back. The Cards, the Mets, game number 3, next. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light Lime, by Chevrolet. Visit your local Mid-America Chevy dealer for great prices on the all-new 2016 Malibu. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. It has turned out to be a gorgeous evening here in Queens at Citi Field. Along with Tim McCarver, Jim Hayes, I'm Dan McLaughlin. 88 degrees our temperature. The Cardinals start with a record of 53-47, 6.5 games back of Chicago. And the New York Mets 53-46. They are 4.5 back of Washington. What a job Terry Collins has done as the manager of the Mets.
Oldest manager in the game. We talked about that last night, but I'll tell you, he is as spry as can be at 66 years old.
He's been with the Astros, the Angels, and now here with the Mets. His starter tonight is Logan Verrett. There's a live look at the right-hander who spent some time in the bullpen, still looking for a win in the rotation since all the way back in April. Mets pitching overall very good, second in ERA, fewest home runs allowed in all of Major League Baseball. There's a look at Mike Matheny. All the injuries, still his club in the hunt for the wild card and maybe even division before it's all said and done. Greg Garcia will lead things off, 8th game as the team's leadoff hitter. Went 3 for 7 yesterday in the doubleheader. Then Aledmys Diaz, 10th in average in the National League. Stephen Piscotty, Matt Holliday, Matt Adams, the red-hot Jed Jerko, 2 more home runs yesterday. Yadier Molina riding a 10-game hitting streak. Tommy Pham, and the pitcher batting 9th, that is Adam Wainwright. There are the numbers on Logan Verrett, and as I mentioned, Tim, some time in the bullpen with the injury to Harvey and some of the issues they've been dealing with in their rotation. He gets a start tonight.
You can see there only 8 starts on the year, and with Wheeler, Matt Harvey out of there, I mean, this is a chance for a young pitcher like Logan Verrett to take advantage of that. Not that you're intentionally taking advantage of an injury or anything like that, but what is bad fortune for one leaves the door open for the other. That is the law of the jungle.
Around the Horn is presented by Dobbs. Cespedes in left with 8 outfield assists. Conforto in center. Curtis Granderson is in right. Wilmer Flores, your third baseman. David Wright is done for the year. Asdrubal Cabrera at short. Neil Walker, the former Pirate, at second. James Loney is at first, and Travis d'Arnaud is behind the plate. Well, Greg Garcia, wherever you put him, shortstop, second base, he's played a little at first. He's at third base as well. He produces, and tonight he'll be in that leadoff spot as the Cardinals await the return of Matt Carpenter.
One of the peskier hitters in the National League is Greg Garcia. Either a walk, on an error, a base hit, hitting over 300. Knows how to play the game.
The Cardinals with 17 straight games with a home run. The all-time Cardinals record, 19 consecutive games. That was set back in 2006. And the Redbirds are first in the National League in home runs with 138. And the first pitch is taken for a ball, and we're underway here in game number 3.
Talked to Terry Collins about Logan Verrett. 3 pitches, fastball, curveball or slider, and a changeup. Well, everything, like with most pitchers, depends on whether he can throw strikes or not.
He's a 26-year-old from Corpus Christi, Texas. There's a look at what he features. The Hyundai pitch arsenal. And the 1-1. We talked about it last night, the importance of beating Noah Syndergaard, having a chance to sweep the doubleheader. Bartolo Colon, very good, though, in game number 2.
Only 9 runs scored by both teams in the doubleheader last night.
There's a fly ball sent out to left. Yoenis Cespedes makes the catch, 1 away. In the nightcap last night, the Mets pitchers struck out 12 Cardinals. 9th time this season. The Mets have had 10 or more strikeouts and a 0-walk game. That is extending their team record.
Man, struck out 10 times in game number 1. 22 strikeouts in a doubleheader last night.
Here's Aledmys Diaz. He's batting .311. Lines it to third, and Flores makes the catch.
You can hit it, but you can't guide it, Dan. That ball was hammered. Flores barely had time to react. Watch. Almost took him back about 2 feet. Ball was stung.
Brings in Stephen Piscotty, .292 his average. 14 home runs. He has driven in 58. The Mets have alternated wins and losses in their last 12 games, including all 11 since the break. Win 1, lose 1. Win 1, lose 1.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It really is.
It's a, you know, that's almost 2 weeks of win and lose, win and lose, win and lose.
Previously, the Mets' longest streak of doing that was 10 games in September of 1987. So it doesn't happen very often like that. Taken low. And the count runs to 3 balls and no strikes. There's a look at Terry Collins. Bill Miller, first base coach of the Cardinals. 2-out walk. And that has been the issue, as you pointed out. You know, can he throw strikes? They like his stuff, but he's got to throw strikes.
Signed originally by the Mets and taken by the Baltimore Orioles in a Rule 5 situation. Claimed on waivers by the Texas Rangers. And the Rangers releasing him last May 4th, and the Mets picked him back up. They liked him the first time around. They like him now.
Now working from the stretch, and here is Holiday. Verrett very good in the month of April. He was 3-0, .52 ERA. Since that time, 0-6 ERA of 5.5.
Ouch. So somebody's gotten to him. The interesting thing about him, 20 points higher have right-handed batters hit than left-handed batters. That's very unusual. Right-handed batters are hitting 276 against Verrett, and that's not good.
Lefties at 256.
Yeah.
And he had been in his career very good against the righties.
Yeah.
It was about 30 points lower coming into this season. 0-2 the count on Holiday. Runner at first is Stephen Piscotty. Holiday hitting .301 away from Busch Stadium, under 200 at home.
If you're Piscotty at first base and you're going to run, try and choose a breaking ball. 0-2, 1-2, good time to throw it, good time to run.
We'll see how aggressive the Cardinals want to be with d'Arnaud behind the plate. Teams have been running wild against him.
Yes, they have.
All those fans called each other this morning to figure out what they were going to wear.
Orange, New Jersey, all of them.
The 1-2. And Holiday hits it down the left field line, and it is a foul ball. Don't you think, Matt Holiday? I mean, we talk a lot about the young guys like Grichuk and Wong getting on track, and can Diaz sustain what he's done since the beginning of the year? But this is a real big key if the Cardinals can get this man hot.
Yep. Heard you talking a couple of weeks ago about Holiday. His long balls are about on track, but it's the average. Entering the game batting only .235.
1-2 pitch on its way. First strikeout for Logan Verrett. Adam Wainwright to the mound. When we come back, half inning in the books, no score. When he starts this year for Adam Wainwright, that was on that great evening in which the Cardinals honored the 2006 World Championship team. So Wainwright gets the call tonight. He is 9-5. He'd love to get that ERA below 4, and it's been on the way down since that ugly first month of the season. Here's a look at the Mets lineup. They are third, by the way, in home runs in the National League. Granderson, Cabrera, Cespedes here in the first. Loney, Walker, Flores, Conforto, d'Arnaud, and Verrett.
Talking about the 2006 season, do the Met fans remember that year? And do they ever remember the curveball from Adam Wainwright to strike out Carlos Beltran that put the Cardinals in the World Series and they beat Detroit?
Such a great Game 7 Wonderful series between those two teams. Then the Cardinals in 5 games defeat Detroit in the World Series.
I did that Game 7, Dan, and I have never been in a stadium up to that time. Since that time, it's happened a couple of times, but where the stadium moved,
Yep.
it rocked beneath my feet.
Old Shea.
It was terrifying. I'm thinking, wait a minute, this thing was not built to move like this.
The great history of Shea. I may be the only man on the planet that liked it.
Yeah, you know, that's a true statement. You might be the only one on the planet that liked it.
I
Why
really
did you like it?
I loved it.
Did you?
I loved the atmosphere, the fans. I could feel the stadium sometimes move. Loved it. Granderson with a high fly ball lifted into right center field. There's Tommy Pham, and he makes the catch. Take you back to that famous moment. Mets fans have not forgiven Carlos Beltran for not swinging the bat. And he had some great years here in New York with the Mets.
That was a 2-2 pitch, if I remember right. Is that right? Well, I think it was 2-2. Might have been 1-2.
Talked to Adam Wainwright about that at bat. And I said, what did Yadier Molina call? Give me the sequence. And he said, the one thing I remember most about the at bat was the first pitch. Everybody in the ballpark was expecting a fastball, including Beltran. And he said, really, including myself, with the bases loaded. Young guy on the mound, let's get strike one.
Right.
He called a changeup. And he said it went in for a strike, and all of a sudden we had the hammer in that at bat. That is a foul ball.
That's very interesting because often that first pitch can dictate how a pitcher pitches to a particular hitter.
I think what's
a change up to start and a curveball to finish him off.
And I think what's forgotten in that game, Tim, well, there's a lot of things that happened. Obviously, it was a historic game. As you get a look at Asdrubal Cabrera, but Jeff Suppan made the start that night. And there's a drive into right, and that is off the base of the wall. Piscotty with a good arm, he could throw him out, and he will. Out at second base, and no argument from Cabrera.
What a play by Piscotty. You talk about lack of movement, only the necessary movement by Piscotty. Fielding the ball on the ground, a one-hopper to Aledmys Diaz. This is just a beautiful play by Stephen Piscotty. And a quick tag by Diaz. What makes that a tough play is with your back to the base, you turn around, you're not sure where the foot's going to be. I'm not too sure he didn't miss the tag then.
The only reason I think that he didn't was just the reaction of Cabrera popping up and going right to the dugout.
Good point. Yes.
There's Cespedes and a ground ball that's hit to second. I'll make you wait. And I know you'll be on the edge of your seats talking about 2006 when I come back in a story that I have.
I can't wait.
The tag, is it there? It's close. Close. Jerko, Yadier Molina. The Mets had the bases loaded, by the way, in Game 7. Not just with Beltran up, but another key spot in that game, as Adams looks at a strike, was that the Cardinals actually pitched around Shawn Green. And with only one out, Jeff Suppan pitched out of a jam after Chavez had made the great catch to take the home run away from Scott Rowland.
One of the great postseason catches ever.
He got Valentin, and then he got Endy Chavez, and that ended that threat. And of all people, the man that runs the drafts now for the Cardinals, Randy Flores, the winner of Game 7 of the 2006 Championship Series. To some of the people that are forgotten along the way. You think about the big moments, but there were little key moments too that took place that allowed the Cardinals to win that game.
That was Randy's 15 minutes of fame, and now his 15 minutes of fame again is coming from the Cardinal front office.
And by all accounts, very good draft.
Yes.
And a swing and a miss by Adams. Second strikeout for Verrett. Arcia in the driver's seat. Who else? Jed Jerko. He has been one of the hottest hitters in all of baseball. First half, 242, 7 home runs in 58 games. Second half, 11 games, 7 home runs.
I think what Jerko has shown over the last 10 games or so is how quick his bat is in that precious 18 to 24 inches. Too quick there.
Look at that. Rolls back into fair territory for the out.
Little cue shot toward first. Everett smiling. Jerko's not.
And what you're seeing with Jed Jerko, he's doing it on first pitches, and he's doing it on fastballs primarily. Show those quick hands.
Home run last night off Syndergaard. First pitch. Home run in Game 2. Off Bartolo Colon. First pitch.
Yadier Molina riding a 10-game hitting streak coming into play tonight. And it was his home run off of Aaron Heilman, who was a very good setup man for the Mets in 06 that gave the Cardinals a lead in that 9th inning of Game 7. Yadier Molina that season in regular season action as he strokes a base hit out to left field. Cespedes over to cut it off. But think about this, Tim. He hit .216 in the regular season, had 19 postseason hits in that great run. Really was the series that got him going offensively as a not just a catch and throw guy, but a threat at the plate as well. And here it is, Heilman on the mound and Molina with that home run in Game 7 of 2006.
It's always great to check the bullpen out. The Cardinal bullpen jumping up and down. Probably the only people in Chase Stadium doing that after that home run.
Dave Duncan saw that home run, gets on the phone, gets Wainwright up. Rest is history. 2 outs, runner at first, and here is Tommy Pham, who was 2 for 7 yesterday. A 2-out hit by Molina to extend his hit streak to 11 as he stands at first. And Tommy with a terrific play defensively in Game 1, 9th inning, and started a key double play en route to a win. It was Cespedes at the plate. Granderson, good speed, tagging up from first, and was thrown out at second base. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, runner at first. Logan Verrett as a starter hasn't won since April 19th. That's a span of 6 starts going from the bullpen, rotation, back and forth. You get the idea. It's been a long time. Pham strikes out. 2 in the inning. 3 tonight through 2 innings for Logan Verrett. No score. You know, Tim, it would not be Cardinals baseball without Jim Hayes. Jimmy, what do you have for us?
Well, you guys were talking about Waino's numbers in July, 3-0, 0.93 ERA, whip of .931. I asked Mets manager Terry Collins about Waino, and he told me, quote, he's such a professional on the mound in the way he goes about his job. He's the ultimate guy you want to show a young pitcher to look at how you make adjustments. Collins said of Waino's recent surge, his cutter is better, his command is better, and he's pitching as well as he has at any time in his career. And Dan, one other note, the Cards have announced that Brandon Moss will begin a rehab assignment tomorrow with Springfield.
Do we know, by the way, about Matt Carpenter? Is he on that same schedule?
No, I don't think. I think he's going to be a little later. We should know more either later today or tomorrow about when Carpenter will go out.
Jimmy, you were covering that team in 2006. What do you recall from Game 7 at Shea?
Well, I remember I was in the bowels of the stadium underneath watching on a monitor, and when Yachty hit his home run in the 9th, out of nowhere came this giant cart full of champagne and ice, and it wheeled toward the Cardinal clubhouse. I knew at that point the Cardinals were going to win it, Dan.
Well, James Loney continues to terrorize Adam Wainwright. He's now 15 for 29. Wow. Against Adam Wainwright. That's the highest batting average against Waino of anybody with 20 or more at bats against him in his career.
It was a fastball up and away over the head of Matt Holliday and a double to open up the second inning for Loney.
And it brings in Neil Walker. Hits for more power from this side of the plate, but the average way down. 228 from the left side, 268 from the right side for the switch hitter. And strike one with that breaking ball. Tim talked about it here in July. Coming into this start, 29 innings for Adam Wainwright and a .93 ERA. Only 5 walks this month. Another curveball drops in for strike 2.
That looked like a quick pitch curveball right there.
Wainwright's fun to watch. I mean, he'll vary his speeds and his times to the plate. Maybe a different motion sometimes.
Very few fastballs. Only 41% of the time will he throw a fastball. Relies on that curve, cutter, and changeup a lot.
Here's an 0-2 pitch. That's driven into right center field. That'll put the Mets on top 1-0. Loney will score. Throw is cut off by Adams. 1-0 New York. A rare 0-2 mistake by Wainwright.
What Waino wanted to do was to throw a ball with this pitch. I mean, that's pretty good hitting by Walker. I'm not even sure you can call that a mistake. Sometimes you got to tip your cap to the hitter, and that might be one of them. I mean, that ball about ankle high. But that's the thing about left-handed hitters. They can adjust because that's not a hard curveball. So you have a chance to recover from your initial shock.
Hottest batter in this lineup, Wilmer Flores. 340 his average this month. 7 home runs. He's driven in 13 here in July. So back-to-back hits to start the bottom of the second. 1-0 pitch. Lined, base hit into center. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in high definition on over 400 supported devices. That includes a free subscription to @Bat Premium. Visit MLB.TV for details.
You know, you hear that expression, inside the ball, so often, keeping your hands inside the ball. The last 5 at-bats that Flores has had, that's what he's done. He had 2 singles and a double last night. All balls were hit to center field and to right field. And here the first time up, hands inside the ball, line drive to center field.
There's Michael Conforto, who's hitting .230, 10 home runs. And he's driven in 30 this year. Out to center. There's Pham. Runners stay put. And there's one down.
That's what that throw by Tommy Pham last night in the 9th inning does to a team. They say, this guy's too good. He didn't have to show off that arm again, not after last night in the 9th inning. That 8-6 double play. Good position. Runners holding.
One down. Runners at first and second. Travis d'Arnaud hitting .238. 2 home runs. He's driven in 10. He was hitless yesterday in 4 at-bats. Fastball and a strike. You know, we were talking about velocity and how so many of us, we're all guilty of it. You watch a guy throw 100 miles an hour. I mean, it's something unique. You watch Wainwright pitch. He is a pitcher. It's about 91, maybe 92
right
on the fastball, but it's in and out, changing speeds, up, down.
Inside, outside, using all 17 inches of the plate.
One ball, one strike. This is a ground ball staff, no doubt. So you do think about the double play. That's tapped foul.
If you're a hitter facing Wainwright, what's your approach? You know what my approach would be? Give him the fastball. Sit on the curveball, the cutter, the off-speed stuff up until 2 strikes. Remember, 2 strikes is the best time to jam a hitter. So it's the best time right now to throw the fastball to d'Arnaud after the curveball. Because the good hitters and most guys in the major leagues, I mean, you have to respect position players. You have to respect their ability to hit. And they're going to protect the plate with 2 strikes. Even though that in itself is few and far between approaches nowadays. Guys have the same home run swing with 2 strikes.
The 1-2 pitch. This is start number 205 for Wainwright and Molina together. It's a record for battery mates, previously held by my partner and Bob Gibson in Cardinals history. McCarver, that'd be you, Timmy. More games, though, is Steve Carlton. 228. He had 79 starts with Carlton in St. Louis, 149 with the Phillies. So you caught one of the best right-handers ever, one of the best lefties ever.
It was a privilege, believe me.
Good pitch, in on his hands and fouled back.
I remember when I was a high school senior in Memphis, Tennessee, Bill Dickey was the scout for the Yankees. He lived in Little Rock. We became very close friends and were even up to his passing. And he gave me a list of things. I'm a senior in high school. A list of things about how to handle pitchers. And one of the things I'll remember, I'll tell you after this pitch.
The 2-2 to d'Arnaud. There's your ground ball. Jerko to second and a double play.
I can tell you now, to be a pitcher's friend, and I took that to heart because Bob Gibson and Steve Carlton are 2 of my closest friends.
Baseball is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. By your local Volkswagen dealer. And taste the all-new Jack's Brewhouse Bacon Burger today at Jack in the Box. Limited time only at participating restaurants. Citi Field in New York. The Mets have a 1-0 lead as we move to the third. It'll be Wainwright, Garcia, and Diaz. Mets founded in 1962 to replace New York's departed team in the National League, the Giants. You had the Brooklyn Dodgers that followed. And that pitch is taken a little bit low. So they played 2 years at the Polo Grounds in Upper Manhattan. Then Shea Stadium opened up in 1964. Stayed there till 2008. And they'd opened up Citi Field in 2009. Wainwright is fighting the reflection there off the glass beyond the center field wall.
Yeah, when he's pitching, his back's to it. Coogan's Bluff. That was the home of the Polo Grounds. And then, of course, to give it a New York flavor, the Mets hired Casey Stengel to manage the team in 1962. And to say it was Casey's worst year is understating it.
40 and 120.
40 and 120.
The 2-2 just missed. They had never finished better than second place, and then the 1969 Miracle Mets beat the Orioles. The final out off the bat of Davey Johnson, who leads them to the World Series in 1986 as the manager of the Mets. They showed a look at the history before our first pitch here at Shea Stadium, and you saw the black cat hopping out at Shea in front of the 1969 Cubs.
That was with Ron Santo on deck.
Right.
Jerry Koosman pitching. What a pitching staff they had. Nolan Ryan.
Tom Seaver.
Gary Gentry. Tug McGraw.
3-2 pitch. Fouled back again. Mentioned that Mike Piazza's number will be retired over the weekend. That'll be Saturday, and a lot of fans were hoping it would be on Sunday. Mike wore number 31, and Sunday is August 31st, or rather July 31st. So to coincide with that date, 3-2 pitch. Inside to Wainwright, and he did not go. So he walks the pitcher after having been given a 1-0 lead. If you can't watch the games on TV, you can now stream games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store, download the free Fox Sports Go app, log in, stream the Cardinals wherever you go.
How many times do you see a pitcher check a swing? And the reason for that, most pitchers are not that good athletes. Wainwright, an exception to that. He's a superb athlete at 6'7".
On the charter tonight, I'll make sure you're not seated by any of the pitchers.
I don't want to be seated by pitchers anyway.
No, you don't. What's on the?
They drove me crazy for too many years.
What's on the gravestone?
Pitchers did this. I've already carved it out. It is on my gravestone. Pitchers did this. And really they did one way or the other, either defensively dealing with them or hitting against them.
Garcia lines it into center field, and the catch is made. I love that. Mine says Tim did this. No, I would never do that.
Well, you do have that option.
Well, actually, I could say pitchers did this. I work with a bunch of pitchers, too.
That's true.
Here's Aledmys Diaz. You see that reflection in right center. That is the 7-line army. The number 7-line army is what they call themselves in right center. So once a homestand, they get together. They all dress up in their Mets jerseys, and here they are.
All right.
Looks like a fun bunch.
Mm-hmm.
The 1-0 pitch to Aledmys Diaz. Ground ball hit up the middle, base hit. Wainwright will stop at second. So walk and a base hit. We take a look at our power stats brought to you by Kubota. So Diaz 1 for 2 on the night after the line out to third. He singles. And here are those stats presented by Kubota. Highest average on the road, Diaz at 346. There you see a couple of the Marlins. We'll see them tomorrow. Real Muto and Prado. And Wilson Ramos of Washington at 357. He's also in the top 10 overall in hitting.
Force a habit, Dan, just checking the outfield. Curtis Granderson is playing shallow against Piscotty, who has good power to right field.
Piscotty, the best average with runners in scoring position so far in the National League at 414.
See Granderson, he's at moderate depth, but I think with Piscotty, you almost have to play him like a left-handed pull hitter because he has great power to right field. As all Cardinal fans know, he's a good low ball hitter.
And a big gap in left center. Conforto shading him the opposite way. Tapped foul, 0-2. The 0-2. Bounced. It gets away. Wainwright will stop. So Diaz has to watch that lead runner, and he stays put at first.
That's a good job by both Wainwright and Diaz. You've got to watch the lead runner if you're the runner on first base as the trail runner, of course. This ball, a 58-foot changeup, it looked like. Wainwright stopping between second and third, realizing that it's only a short throw for d'Arnaud. Good play by Diaz as a trail runner.
1 ball, 2 strikes. The next two, Stephen Piscotty. 2-2. Last start, Verrett received a no decision against Miami, went 5 1/3, has not gone deep in his start. So at some point tonight, we'll see this bullpen of the Mets. They come in with 9 straight scoreless innings. The 2-2. And he struck him out. 4th strikeout for the right-hander. Don't miss the Cardinals Care 6K run presented by Anthem, and that's Sunday, September 18th. Start at the Stan the Man statue, run through downtown St. Louis, finish on the field at Busch, and right there will be Jackie Joyner-Kersee, great Olympian, to put a medal around your neck. And for more info to sign up, go to cardinals.com/6K.
Boy, the Olympics right around the corner.
That's right.
August 5th in Rio.
We had JJK on the broadcast last week, and she is headed there. The United States team asked her to be there for inspiration, to help. I said, "Are you worried about the Zika virus?" She said, "Nope, not worried one bit. I'm going."
Well, they couldn't have picked, the Olympic Committee could not have picked a better person to represent the United States.
Holiday hits it down the right field line. It is slicing, and that ball is fair. On his way to second, 1 run will score. Here comes Aledmys Diaz, and the Cardinals go on top 2-1. A 2-out RBI double by Holliday to score 2.
Boy, big hit, 2-out hit. Picking up Piscotty was Matt Holliday. And the instincts of Diaz on the bases, you just can't talk about him enough. He's an excellent base runner, not blazing speed, but knows when to turn on the afterburner right there. He doesn't even look at the right fielder. He only picks up, he knows there's going to be a shot at scoring, picking up third base coach Chris Maloney, and he scores without a play. Good hitting, good base running.
Holliday now has driven in 58. 2-1 Cardinals, first lead of the night. And it brings in Matt Adams. The Cardinals, it's game 3 of a 10-game, 11-day road trip. And they are in the midst of now 28 of 34 on the road.
Wow.
This could be a defining month or so for this season.
Sure.
That's ripped out to deep right. Granderson over, won't get there. That ball is fair and in the corner. Adams to second base, trade spots with Holliday. It's another 2-out hit to drive in Matt. 3-1 St. Louis.
You know, Dan, that's a blind spot. Of course, down the right field line. We can't see it with our high home camera. But that ball looked like it hit almost where Matt Holliday's ball hit. Out in front a little bit. Matt's only concern was, is it going to stay fair? And it did, of course. Third Cardinal run, all with 2 outs.
7 of the 14 home runs that Jerko has hit have come on the first pitch. We were going back to the hotel last night talking about how aggressive he is early in counts. So I went back and looked at it, and the majority of his home runs hit against fastballs too.
Mm-hmm. And that's because he's so lightning quick. I remember a quote by Ben Hogan 50 years ago talking about the importance of a baseball swing for that important 18 to 24 inches, which is about the back part of the plate, middle of the back part of the plate, to hitting the ball out front. That's why guys build up their forearms. That's why guys have exercises where they swing the bat underwater. Greg Jeffries comes to mind, an ex-Cardinal. Started with the Mets, ended with among the Cardinals.
That's taken low, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
But Ben Hogan said that he could make any baseball player a better hitter by increasing the bat speed through that 18 to 24 inch area where they have to be quick. And Jerko's as quick as anybody on the Cardinals.
The 2-1. Jerko to short. Cabrera gets up, and nice pick at first by James Loney. Takes the hit and RBI away. But the Cardinals with 2 outs, getting 3 runs. 3 hits this inning. Diaz, Holliday, then Adams. 3-1. his warm-up tosses here for the bottom of the third. He walked to start the rally for the Cardinals in the top half of the inning. Our BJC Healthcare difference maker, most wins all time, Bob Gibson atop that list, and Adam Wainwright now edging closer to Dizzy Dean at 134. Wainwright, by the way, in terms of strikeouts, he's got 1,425, second most in Cardinals history. Bob Gibson, 3,117. So he's got ways to get to Gibson. But still pretty impressive to be number 2 on that list. Here's Logan Verrett. Now, Adam has been a part of some great moments in Cardinals history. He has had top 3 finishes in the National League Cy Young Award voting 4 times. Hops off the mound, makes that play for the first out.
Using that 6-7 reach of Adams.
I mean, you think about it, Tim, he was the runner-up in 2010. Roy Halladay won that season. 2013, Clayton Kershaw. 2009, Tim Lincecum. Kershaw again in 14. And the guy that's been there through it all in those top 3 finishes, the Cardinals' Adam Wainwright, but he's never won the award.
The thing about Adam, too, we mentioned earlier the famous strikeout of Carlos Beltran. He's done it from the bullpen. He's done it as a starter. He is a thoroughbred if there ever was one.
Let's turn to Tim's Toyota keys to the game.
Pretty easy to look at Adam Wainwright's continued improvement. Every start, you can see it this year. Better and better and better.
Just to finish that thought on the Cy Young, there have been 2 other pitchers that have had 4 top 3 finishes. Adam Wainwright, then Dan Quisenberry and Mariano Rivera, and never won the award.
Good going. I didn't know that.
So relievers, Quisenberry and Rivera, and the starter, Adam Wainwright. Good breaking ball here. Missouri Lottery Foxtrats. So the shift is on here for Granderson. The 1-2 pitch. Hit to the right side. Taken there by Garcia, who wants it. It's Wainwright along with Adams and Granderson at the bag.
Yeah, Adams broke like he didn't think there was a shift. He should have known that Garcia was right there.
Boy, you bring up a great point, because that is one of the nuances of the shift.
It is. I mean, normally he'd have to make the play, but he's too far out now. Wainwright was befuddled and made the play, and Granderson ends up running into a guy without the ball.
Well, that's odd, isn't it?
The day of shifts.
That's part of it.
It is.
So 2 outs, nobody on. Asdrubal Cabrera. He singled off the wall in right, then was gunned down by Stephen Piscotty. Have you seen much of a drop in the defense in right field from Hayward to Piscotty?
No.
Totally agree.
Nope.
Adams there, and a 1-2-3.
The one thing about Piscotty, he has a better sense for the ball than Jason Hayward, in my view.
Cardinals Hall of Fame induction class has been selected. The Cardinals and Edward Jones congratulate Sam Braden, Terry Moore, Joe Torre, Chris Carpenter. And you can be there as well, August 27th at Fox Sports Midwest Live. Tim, my understanding is that Joe Torre, and we know he's very busy with Major League Baseball, and he's traveling the country and a lot of charitable efforts as well, but he knew that this was a possibility, the potential of going in the Cardinals Hall of Fame. And as busy as he is, he told his people, make sure and keep that weekend open just in case.
Block it off.
And what he
is so proud of that honor.
He is. He was told about it and was very emotional about it. There's a hanger, but hit to short. Cabrera. A beautiful night. The skyline. We come to you from New York and Citi Field.
Start talking about Joe Torre and you get a shot like that, and that's who he is and what he represents to baseball. He might be the most multifaceted human being in the Hall of Fame. Great player, MVP in 1971. Great manager with the Yankees, 4 world titles. I mean, and now he's on the rules committee. He handles the umpires. What doesn't he do, and what hasn't he done?
And I think
in the game?
The way that he handles many situations with the umpires, his Pham hits it out to center. There are controversial issues in the game, and he handles it all with class,
aplomb,
and how he deals with the media, how he answers questions that are uncomfortable. He's so good with the media. It's unbelievable.
And he uses such common sense. He's a very bright guy. Everybody knows that. But his common sense is what, to me, makes the practical part of the game so understandable. He gets it. And when he talks, people get it.
Mm-hmm. And they listen. They respect him.
He was an announcer. I mean, what hasn't he done in baseball?
2 outs, nobody on after the fly out by Pham. And unfortunate for him, you know, you think about where the Cardinals were in franchise history. Ownership group at that time wasn't spending money, and you're only as good as the horses you're given. And he had some tough teams to win with. Then the new ownership group came in and they spent money. Out to shallow left, and Cabrera puts it away.
But it was too late to sign Joe Torre, and he went to New York and did okay.
On the way to the Hall of Fame. 3-1 Cardinals lead as we check in with Jim Hayes.
Dan, prize prospect Alex Reyes was pulled from his start after 3 innings last night. And the Cardinals, meantime, have a TBA listed next to Saturday's starter. The internet nearly blew up with speculation. Mike Matheny isn't ready to make anything public about Saturday's start. He told me we have a couple of guys in our bullpen we believe could step in and take that start. But he also said we're not ruling out anything at this point. In regard to Reyes being pulled last night, Mike said, you're always trying to save innings on a young guy, but that wasn't my decision. So, Dan, the TBA is still TBA.
But the Cardinals have mentioned at some point, Jimmy, and maybe you can follow up with this, we will see Reyes pitching at the major league level at some point, whether it be the bullpen, rotation, whatever the case may be this year.
Yeah, but they just want to make sure it's the right spot, and I'm not certain they believe Saturday is. I think a lot depends on Tyler Lyons and whether or not they'll have to use him in between now and Saturday's start. Mike Matheny was asked about Lyons. Would he be available on Saturday with the workload he's had recently? And Mike said yes. So TBA, Dan.
All right, we'll be in Miami tomorrow. Jose Fernandez gets that start.
What a matchup.
Looking forward to it.
Michael Wacha and Jose Fernandez. We haven't seen him the last year. Saw him a couple of years ago, but he had that Tommy John surgery. Boy, what a talent.
And Miami has scheduled 4 different times in the season in which they skip him a start because of the Tommy John and trying to backload some of the innings.
I didn't know that.
And so the Cardinals, right out of the break, when they faced Miami, did not face Fernandez at home at Busch Stadium. They will face him, though, tomorrow night.
Well, I think it's smart not to introduce Reyes to the major leagues in Miami. That Miami team is just too tough. I'm not saying other teams can't beat him, but somebody like Milwaukee or Cincinnati to me makes a lot more sense than Miami.
When you look at the schedule for the Cardinals, they've got Oakland here in the second half, Cincinnati, bunch of games with them, bunch of games left with Milwaukee. And all 3 of those teams could be completely different in terms of what they look like today as opposed to what we may see because of the trade deadline.
Well, that is an excellent point.
Lucroy could be on the move. Jay Bruce, Reddick of Oakland.
Jay Bruce will be traded. You almost know that. Having a spectacular year, too.
25 home runs.
Yeah.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Cespedes, who grounded out to second first time up. Chops it to short. There's Diaz. And there's one away. Around the horn presented by Dobbs. The Cardinals defense tonight. Holiday, Pham, Piscotty, Jerko, Diaz, Garcia, and Adams. Molina is behind the plate. The Cardinals have committed 76 errors. Highest total in the major leagues. The last time that they led the league in errors was 1958. Before that, it was 1922. That's usually what you get out of the Cardinals. Pretty solid defensive teams, play the game very well, smart.
Absolutely. Finished in last place 1 time since 1919.
We were talking with Howie Rose, longtime play-by-play man on the Mets on the radio side, and he said, I can't remember a bad Cardinal team. And he was serious.
That is a point.
Where did they find these guys? How did they draft them?
Well, the draft coming in 1965. Prior to that, where do they sign them? I mean, Dizzy Dean, Jerome Dean from Wiggins, Mississippi. Who goes to Wiggins, Mississippi to find baseball talent?
If you could play, they'll find you.
No, they'll find you. That's right. Vinegar Ben Mizell, a left-handed pitcher, traded for Julian Javier in 1960. He was seen the first 9 games a scout saw him pitch. He was barefoot. He did not have shoes. Off a pitcher's mound, barefoot.
Sid Finch. Remember that?
I do.
1985 Sports Illustrated for the Mets.
That was the partial creation of Jay Horowitz, the general manager.
That was great.
The publicity manager of the New York Mets. That was classic.
It really was.
That might have been George Plimpton's last hurrah, right?
Sid Finch. 1985 cover Sports Illustrated April Fools.
Gotcha.
Yep. The 2-2. Lined up the middle. Diaz, gloves, throws, wide. He had time. And I would think they'll give a base hit to James Loney.
No, yeah. He had more time than he thought because of the swing of Loney. Loney went down to get that curveball. It probably would have bounced. Hit it by Wainwright. But look at Diaz. Right there. He had more time than he thought he had. Hurried to throw, threw it wildly. It's a base hit.
Snaps a string of 7 in a row set down by Adam Wainwright. Brings in Walker, singled on an 0-2 pitch to right to drive in Loney. Loney 2 for 2, and now 16 for 30 in his career against Adam Wainwright. Talk a lot about the Cardinals and their home runs. Mets have hit 130. Second highest total in their first 100 games of a season in their history. 6 shy of the team record, which was set back in 2006.
Well, you look at the history of the New York Mets. It was never centered around offense.
Pitching.
Pitching, pitching, and more pitching. That's a trademark of this organization, as much as any organization in the major leagues. Tom Terrific, Seaver, Nolan Ryan, you mentioned him, Gary Gentry, John Matlack, and of course the young Steven Matz. Jacob deGrom will be going tomorrow for the Mets.
They've got deGrom, Harvey, Wheeler, Matz, Syndergaard. 2-0 the count on Neil Walker. And Seaver kind of fell in the laps of the Mets. He was at USC, and he signed a few days after the '66 season had begun in college baseball. You may recall he was drafted by the Braves, ruled ineligible because the Braves had acted improperly because the college season had started. So he could be chosen at random if a team matched the $50,000 promised in the voided deal with Atlanta. There were only 3 teams that did that in that pool. Only 3. The Mets, the Phillies, the Indians.
And the Mets won the lottery.
Did they ever? Off of Wainwright. And Diaz no play. Seaver was in the big leagues just 18 months after that lottery. Amazing.
Tom Terrific. And was he ever. Kind of a scary play right there. Wainwright getting his glove up barely and appears to be fine. The ball never hit his head.
So Walker is 2 for 2. Boy, that's scary. And it brings in Wilmer Flores with 2 runners on. Cardinals have turned a double play. 5-4-3. That was back in the second. Now Molina out to visit. One out, runners at first and second. Outfield is straight away. And the cutter in there for a strike. Chevy Fox tracks for strike 1.
I mean, double play situations are very difficult to understand because what pitchers and catchers try to do, they try to entice the hitter to hit the ball hard at somebody. Almost defies description. Can't hit it softly, you can't turn two.
Right. There's so many times you see Wainwright with that cutter to a right-hander, gets him to reach, roll over, and get that ground ball double play.
Yeah. Well, it's tough to do against Flores because we mentioned he's hit balls either to center or to right field the last 2 games. 4 hits in the process.
May have gotten away with that last pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Wainwright has not struck out a man here tonight. Double play groundouts. Wainwright has induced 16. Carlos Martinez, yesterday's game 1 starter in the doubleheader, with 21. Here's a 1-2. Much better crowds here in New York after their appearance in the World Series a year ago. This ballpark holds 42,000. The 2-2 pitch. Ground ball. Jerko steps on the bag to first, and Adams can't come up with it. So there'll be 2 outs for Conforto.
In fairness, Jed Jerko does not have a third baseman's arm. He has a middle infielder's arm. And with third, when the ball's not hit sharply, a ball like that comes into play because Jerko, knowing he can step on the bag to get the lead runner, throwing off balance, an in-between hop, and Adams can't come up with it.
If he does, he's out.
Yep.
And it's the second double play turned by the Cardinals. Instead, runners at first and second, 2 outs, and Conforto at the plate. Outfield is straight away. First pitch, a strike. Say it all the time, strike 1, the most important pitch in the game.
Absolutely. And that is not necessarily with that first pitch, if it's a strike, that's not necessarily how Wainwright's going to try to get you out. Matter of fact, often he goes away from that pitch.
0-2.
To a curveball or something away. But that first pitch inside, if you get a strike call, very important. And that could set up the rest of the at-bat. We'll see. That plants the seed. Conforto thinking cutter inside. Back in there.
0-2 the count. Jim was talking about the still be to be determined starter on Saturday. It's Wacha, Leake, and Martinez, 3 of the 4 starters this weekend in Miami. Jose Fernandez for the Marlins tomorrow. One ball, 2 strikes. Inside corner, struck him out. The first strikeout for Wainwright, and a big one to end the bottom of the 4th. The Mets strand 2. They have left 3 on in this game. Little fist bump from Yadi. 3-1 St. Louis. Wainwright gets his first strikeout, comes at the right time as the Mets strand two. We're in the top of the fifth, and it's 3-1 St. Louis. It floats in there for strike 1-2, Greg Garcia. That's well hit. Right field. Backing up Granderson in front of the track to make the catch.
This may be a sophisticated point, and I'm not trying to make it too sophisticated, but if a pitcher as experienced as Wainwright shakes his head yes, that means it's going to be a fastball if there's a delay, because Molina has to show where he wants it. So if a pitcher, if you're used to seeing that shot, shaking his head yes, and there's a delay after that, then that means the pitcher is looking for where you want the pitch. The pitch was inside. He got the strikeout. Conforto back to the dugout.
When you were hitting, did you look for that?
I did, yes. And you can pick things up like that. Another example of that is if a pitcher shakes his head yes and then shakes his head no, what that means is yes, I want the fastball. No, I don't want it there. Yes, I want it there. And the reason for that is the fastball is the only pitch that you spot. All other pitches, with the exception perhaps of the cutter.
That's driven into left center field off the bat of Diaz. Off the base of the wall. And Aledmys has his second hit of the night. It's a double.
All other pitches, Dan, are inferred. For instance, from a right-handed pitcher to a right-handed hitter, curveball is not going to be inside. He means it to go away. So the fastball has to be spotted. So the way to do that is yes, no, yes, and you know a fastball is coming.
It's good stuff. Here's Stephen Piscotty. He has walked and struck out with runners at first and second. Cardinals trying to add to their 3-1 lead. Fastball and a strike. So third time through the lineup, opponents hitting above 300 against Verrett. That's where we're at right now. The 0-1 pitch to Piscotty. 0-2. By the way, we mentioned that the Cardinals face Fernandez tomorrow. His record at home in his career, 26-1.
Oh, get out of here.
1.47 ERA.
What?
He's got one loss. It happened this year at home. That's it.
What?
26-1. Go get him. Your favorite local 9 tomorrow. Here's the 0-2 pitch to Piscotty. Pulled foul. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
That is absurd. One of the nastier, hard breaking balls in the game.
He throws mid-90s and then a slider that breaks off the table hard, as you mentioned.
I might add, one of the great citizens in the game, too.
No doubt.
Great guy. Just a great guy. You had that story about him in spring training.
Yep.
Signing autographs for about 5 innings.
So a lot of times at spring training, for fans that don't know, starting pitcher will go 3, maybe 4 innings, depending on what point we're at in spring. And the other spring training, I guess it was last year. He threw a little bit, and for the next 5 innings, sat down the left field line, which is where the clubhouse is located for the Marlins, and signed everybody's autograph before the day was through.
Man, that's impressive.
It's great. 1-2 pitch. I think it's important for us as broadcasters to point out those types of things. You hear about pro athletes and the bad stuff.
You bet.
Well, there's a lot of good stuff, too, that's done.
A lot of good stuff.
It's one of the things Rob Manfred has talked about. They need to publicize and show the better aspects of the individuals in the game of baseball, he feels that other sports have done a better job. There's a strikeout of Piscotty, and there's 2 down. August 7th, Christian Day at the ballpark, presented by Thrivent. After the Cards and Braves game, this year's featured speaker is David Eckstein. For tickets and more information, visit cardinals.com/promotions and /Christian Day. Here's Holiday, and he rips it to third. Flores was near the line, and he makes the play. So Diaz stranded. The Cardinals have left 4 on. We're midway through 5, and it's 3-1 St. Louis. Greater coverage baseball is brought to you by T-Mobile. Ichiro Suzuki, 3 hits shy of 3,000. So we'll see him tomorrow and for the next 4 nights in Miami. May see history in the next 4 days against St. Louis. Travis d'Arnaud, then the pitcher spot Verrett, and the top of the lineup Curtis Granderson. Cardinals with a lead of 3-1. d'Arnaud grounded into an inning-ending 5-4-3 double play back in the 2nd inning. First pitch is taken for a strike. Check swing. Did not go. 1 ball, 1 strike. The cutter just missed. 2-1. As a catcher, how often do you look at the hitter just to see if he might be peeking?
Every pitch.
Every pitch.
Yes. You're always aware of that.
Seeing the eyes of Molina look up at d'Arnaud a couple of times. 2-2.
Peeking is in the eyes of the beholder.
We had an interesting story about peeking, talking down before the game, and Will Clark.
Yeah. Yep.
The 2-2. Pitch is up and a base hit into right.
Will Clark, the terrific first baseman for the San Francisco Giants, also played with the St. Louis Cardinals, a big influence in the earlier years. And I said that one day Will Clark was a peaker, and you could see it. The camera could see it. And I called him on it on a game that the Mets were doing against, he was with the Giants at the time. Well, the next day, I mean, he ordered me down in the clubhouse. Naturally, I went to the clubhouse.
Now, that sounds like Will.
He screamed at me, "Did you ever peek?" I said, "That has nothing to do with it."
Bounce back to Wainwright. Sacrifice is good.
He said, "Yes, it does. Because if you peeked, you understand what I was doing." I said, "That has nothing to do with it. I'm now a broadcaster, and I have to alert the viewers that you're peeking." And we went back and forth, and it was not fun, I might add. There was another time that Will Clark called me into the clubhouse at Shea Stadium, and I mean, lambasted me about saying something, and I was dead wrong. And I apologized to him. I apologized to the players listening and the other players. They love stuff like that. You know, go ahead, Will, sick him. And I was kind of meat hung out to dry. I had said mistakenly that Will the Thrill had nicknamed himself, and stupidly also, I might add. And how I got that information has nothing to do with it. But it was a dumb remark on my part. I apologized to him, but only after being lambasted in front of the Giant players.
Well, trust me, having been around Will Clark a little bit when he was with the Cardinals, you aren't the only one.
Oh, yeah, I've heard.
There's a long list of guys.
And now, you know, I see Will in the old-timers games at San Francisco at AT&T. We laugh about it, have fun with it, but it's still there somehow in his mind. You know, players never forget. And neither do announcers.
No, they don't. Remember, Tim, we have the last word.
It's got to be fair, but it was fair. I tried to be as fair as I could.
Yeah.
But boy, he hammered me good.
He was a great influence on a lot of young players when he got to St. Louis. It was his last season, and he had a great run with the Cardinals in 2000. Mark McGwire had gotten hurt, had a knee issue. Cardinals went out and got Will Clark for the stretch run. And he caught on fire. Loved it in St. Louis, and the fans loved him. The 2-1. Cardinals actually wanted to bring him back for another year, if not two.
Oh, really?
And he decided that was it. He was out of his system. He said, "I'm done playing. I've given everything I've got. I'm done."
And what a player he was, too.
Sure was.
He wanted a duck hut in Louisiana from the New Orleans area.
Played at Mississippi State, one of college's great players.
Raging Cajun.
The 2-2. Curveball just missed. So Granderson is 0 for 2. He's fly to center and also grounded out to second. Runner at second base is Travis d'Arnaud. 3-1 Cardinals as we play in the bottom of the 5th. Jammed him. Jerko makes the play, advancing to third. d'Arnaud. 2 down.
d'Arnaud waiting for the throw of Jerko, realizing that Jed interested only in getting the one out.
There was a 2000 when the Cardinals lost to the Mets eventually in the League Championship Series, and you had your Subway Series with the Yankees.
Yeah.
Mike Hampton recording the final out in 2000 as he went the distance. Then he signed a huge free agent contract with the Rockies. Denny Nagle also joined him, and they both found out that pitching in Colorado is not as easy anywhere else.
Different.
Yes, it is. Asdrubal Cabrera has singled, tried to extend that to a double, was thrown out, and is also grounded out to first. Tailing away for a strike. Well, Cabrera is one of the guys that has added woes to this list. Runners in scoring position, and the Mets at 207. And tonight they're 1 for 6. He came into the doubleheader 0 for his last 32 yesterday with runners in scoring position.
Best curveball of the night by Wainwright. Why? It was harder than any of the others. Great rotation. This ball really had a lot of bite to it.
Didn't you think he was kind of rolling some early in the game?
Some, yeah.
0-2 the count with 2 outs, runner at third.
This might be a fastball right here. Molina giving him some sign. You could see Wainwright shaking his head. Yes, we'll see. Fastball inside.
And the 0-2. Little bit low.
Back inside.
And he got him. Cabrera gave up on the pitch. It tails back in. And again, with runners in scoring position, Mets can't come through. To face the Marlins, and there's a look at the TV schedule coming up. All the games on Fox Sports Midwest with the exception of Saturday. You can see that on FS1. Saturday will be on FS1, and the other 3 games will be on Fox Sports Midwest. It'll be an off day on Monday, and then we start a series with Cincinnati Tuesday night.
I'm not too sure that most of America knows how good the Miami Marlins are.
I agree.
And I'll tell you, Dan, we were talking about moves at the deadline. If they get a stopper, I think that's who they need, a closer. Of maybe a Chicago Cub closer like Rendon, who maybe his value's gone down with the signing of Aroldis Chapman. He would be a good fit for a team like the Marlins.
Fly ball off the bat of Adams. The way that it sets up right now for the Marlins, and they've got some speed in that lineup. Good bench with Ichiro.
Great defense.
Stanton is one of the premier power hitters in the game, but they've got Barraclough, who is the former Cardinal. They picked up Barraclough for Steve Cishek last year, and he was really good in the series against the Cardinals. They have Fernando Rodney, and they've got A.J. Ramos. So they, the bullpen, if you can add one more, really shortens games. I think what concerns them right now is, outside of Fernandez, maybe 1 or 2 others.
Yeah.
How deep is that rotation?
Yeah, right. And everybody knows how tough it is to deal for an exceptional starter.
No doubt. Teams just don't do it.
No.
Here's Jed Jerko. Cardinals have hit a home run in 17 straight. Jerko himself, 7 home runs, 13 RBI during that stretch of time. Extended that streak twice by himself yesterday. The last to do that from the Cardinals with the home runs in doubleheaders, multi-doubleheaders in a season, it was Stan the Man in 1954. And he chops it foul. Jed Jerko 0 for 2 tonight, but game 1 against Noah Syndergaard yesterday, 2-run homer. And then you said right before this pitch in game 2, this is a good matchup for Jed Jerko. And within a second, the ball was over the wall and left.
Line drive, a rocket, first pitch.
Mention the name of Stan the Man, and when you're here in New York, you think Brooklyn Dodgers, and that's where he got the nickname the Man. Here comes that man again.
Yep.
A strikeout of Jed Jerko. On your mark, get set, go. Runners Night at the Ballpark, presented by New Balance. Wednesday, August 10th. Fans who purchase the special theme ticket receive an exclusive Cardinals Runners technical T-shirt, and get your Runners Night tickets at cardinals.com/theme. There goes that man again.
I don't know the exact numbers that Musial had at Ebbets Field. Something like 429 with 46 home runs, 155 RBIs.
Here comes that man again.
Here comes that man again.
Quick inning for Barrett. Six 30,000 fans ages 16 and older take home a bobblehead unlike any other. This is a throwback Cardinal Bird bobblehead presented by AT&T, created with the memorabilia collectors in mind. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions. We're talking about players that sign and sign and sign. Think of Lou Brock. I mean, that guy signs more autographs for people when he's at the ballpark.
Yes, he does.
I'm sure he's watching tonight and hopefully feeling well and doing great. One of our favorites.
Lewis Clark Brock. What a player.
You talked about how tough he is. Whew.
You confirmed it too. You asked him.
Oh yeah.
Said McCarver said that
That's
you
right.
never went in the training room, and he said, "No, I didn't."
Nope.
He didn't.
Well, that's the gum that Adam Wainwright throws out after every inning. Chews gum between innings, and usually if you see a bunch of gum back there behind the mound or on the side, that means he's pitching well. 6 pieces, 6 innings. 1 ball, 1 strike. One of the best moments of the year, seeing Lou Brock throw out that ceremonial first pitch, and back at the ballpark, Adam Wainwright's complete game a couple of weekends ago. 06 team in town. Cespedes lines it up the middle and a base hit. This is one of those curveballs that had a little hump in it.
Yeah, which allows, because it's slower, it allows a hitter, particularly a strong hitter like Cespedes, to adjust to it while the pitch is on the way. You almost start up and then the hands go back. You readjust, you kind of reset things.
Brings in James Loney, 2 hits tonight, 2 for 2. Double over Holiday's glove in left and an infield hit back in the 4th. Cespedes, runner at first base. Cardinals have turned 1 double play tonight. And a fly ball. Left field. Tommy Pham with the catch. And there's 1 down. First time Loney's been retired. Neil Walker 2 for 2 as he digs in. Adam Wainwright in his career, his ERA is 3.06, 4th lowest among active pitchers that have thrown 1,000 innings in their career. He's only behind Clayton Kershaw, Madison Bumgarner, Chris Sale 3rd, Adam Wainwright 4th. Pretty good company.
I was talking to Kevin Long around the batting cage before the game. Kevin Long's the hitting instructor of the Mets, and he said, "How's Matt Carpenter doing?" And I said, "Well, I don't know whether he's. I don't know whether he's going to be back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or what have you. But it's as you know about obliques, it's pretty severe, and he will be back as soon as possible. Believe me." He said, "During the All-Star game, we were in the batting cage, and Matt Carpenter spent 2.5 hours in the batting cage watching other hitters hit."
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
He said, "You know who else was there? Madison Bumgarner." How about that? They should have run him.
Yeah, don't let him watch.
Mad Bum, get out of here.
Right.
Don't let it watch us hitters hit. But it was funny, but it was very impressive. He said, "I always respected Matt Carpenter, but boy, after that, I really respect him."
He really is a student of the game, too.
Yeah, he is. I think a lot of it came from his father, too.
Absolutely. Yep. That's great.
Yeah, it is.
2-1 pitch, curveball, and a strike, 2-2.
Naturally, Kevin Long was the hitting instructor taken by Terry Collins, who was the manager because the Mets were in the World Series last year.
Kevin Long, number of seasons with the Yankees and now with the Mets.
Yeah.
They brought him in as he had Curtis Granderson with the crosstown Bronx Bombers, and Granderson had some very good years with the Mets, and Curtis signed the big deal. They're trying to get him right. A couple of years ago, they bring in Kevin Long. Curtis Granderson starts to hit again.
He's a good one.
Three and two the count. Runner at first is Cespedes, but would they start the runner even though he's dealing with that sore leg?
I don't think so, Dan. Good question, though.
He is not running, and the pitch is taken for a ball. So the first walk issued by Adam Wainwright tonight. Tying runs aboard, and it brings in Flores. And Cespedes just walking down to second base, which then plays into what may happen with a base hit. Just trying to score from second.
And Flores has been hot. If it's hit hard to an outfielder, I don't think he'd try to score Cespedes.
Falls on the shoulders of Tim Tuffle, third base coach. Flores 1 for 2. The cutter misses low. The 1-0 pitch. 2-0. You can see Molina kind of nod in approval. He liked that pitch, thinking that if he swung at it, that's a ground ball potential double play. But as you've talked about, it's been up the middle, going to right with some of those pitches.
Yeah, with Flores. He did pull the ball the last time up. Jerko's only play was to step on third. This guy's a good major league hitter. Wilmer Flores.
The 2-0 pitch. 2-1.
Challenged right there with the fastball.
But even there, you see the movement of Adam Wainwright.
Right.
Nothing straight.
Right. Fastball. He nodded twice.
High fly ball. Out to left. Going back. Holiday with room. Makes the catch. Cespedes tagging up from second to third. So 2 outs. Runners at first and third, and Conforto. He's 0 for 2.
So if you're a reader of sign language, this is what Adam's saying. Yes, I want the fastball. Yes, I want it there. See, no other pitch do you have to place, because all other pitches are inferred. So if you see a pitcher, and a lot of pitchers don't even realize they're doing it. But if you see a pitcher say, yes, I want the fastball. The second, yes, I want it outside. Now, you may not know whether it's inside or outside, but you know you're getting a fastball.
Here's Michael Conforto. Curveball. Strike one. Well, thanks a lot, McCarver. Now all I do is watch Wainwright and start nodding my head and then going this way, and then I start nodding, and I'm following what he's doing.
Now, McCarver.
But I'm happy with your Tim.
I went from Timmy to McCarver.
The 0-1 pitch. Ground ball hit to first, and again the threat is through. Wainwright is pitched out of trouble in the last 3 innings, and some boos here at Citi Field. 3-1 St. Louis. As we move to the 7th, and it's 3-1. AT&T high-speed replays. In the 3rd inning, it was a walk by Holiday. Then Aledmys Diaz with this base hit. Holiday with 2 outs, a double down the right field line. Right after that, it was Matt Adams. As Holiday drove in 2, Adams switched places with Matt Holiday, and that's your AT&T high-speed replay.
All runs scored in the 3rd inning.
Here's Tommy Pham. And Barrett, Mets have to be thrilled. He's pitching into the 7th.
Yeah, he's pitching well. Not as well as Wainwright, but well.
Pham is 0 for 2. And he hits it down the right field line and out of play. This is our Gateway Honda home run inning. Cardinals hit a home run. The Gateway Honda dealers donate $1,000 to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Here's a 1-1.
Boy, he has threaded the needle on those right-handed hitters of the Cardinals. Tommy Pham, one of them, striking out, taking in the 2nd inning. Matt Holliday, a strikeout victim. Stephen Piscotty, a strikeout victim twice. And Jed Jerko once.
The 2-2 pitch to Tommy Pham. Whew, just missed.
Well, from a catcher's standpoint, you want to take the mask off and just go after the home plate umpire. You can't do that. Argue balls and strikes, immediate ejection. That's what you want to do.
So he goes from that 2-2 pitch to a walk.
Yeah, and he didn't walk him. He didn't walk him on the 3-2 pitch. He walked him on the 2-2 pitch. That's probably what he's thinking. Look for the bunt from Wainwright, of course.
We were talking before the game. Really, the only argument you get anymore, the old-fashioned good argument with a manager and an umpire is with balls and strikes, which is immediate ejection.
Right.
You know, replay has taken that out of the game.
Yep. Replay has taken out almost all arguments on bases. And I miss that.
I do too.
I agree with you. I miss that. Replay has taken away the spontaneity of crowd reaction.
Now I'll say this. I still want to see, I can't have it both ways. I want to see the plays called right.
I want it both ways.
You want
from a
arguments and
yes,
replay.
I want arguments and replays. I want arguments in foul territory when the replay is. I start arguing with the umpire who called it in New York.
Pham was running and they got him. Well, Wainwright looked like he may have offered it, but it was half-hearted. And d'Arnaud guns down Tommy Pham.
I think that might have been a hit and run.
I do too.
And Wainwright missed it. Now, I don't know, but, well, you know, it was a hit and run, and he thought, well, I can't hit that ball anyway.
Exactly.
And that's probably what happened. It was a hit and run, however.
So a strike on Wainwright.
Sometimes the pitcher throws it where you just can't. You can't swing and put it in play.
Does he still have to swing at that, though? Make the attempt at least? It may disrupt the catcher a little bit.
No, he did. They got to strike him. Well, you don't know. I mean, you can't throw your bat at it.
Throw the bat at it.
Sometimes it's just that futile swing. That's all you can do.
Throw the bat at it.
Well, that's all right. That's what you want.
7 strikeouts for Barrett.
Since we're in that arguing mood, why not?
Hey.
I've been called hey in a lot of clubhouses. And they give you one of those, hey. I said, my name is not Hay. My name is Tim McCarver. Have we met?
And then they say, Tim, but hey, let me tell you something.
Yeah, hey, let me tell you something, buddy. Chief.
Hey, guy, let me talk to you. There's a strike to Greg Garcia. 0 for 3 tonight. Fly to left, lined out to center, and flied out to right.
All that glitters in our business, the business of broadcasting, is not gold.
No, sir. No. There's selective hearing.
Yes.
Over the years, I found that out.
Oh, yeah.
By selective family members.
As do friends and family members
right.
of certain players. saying what we said when we didn't say it, or saying what we said and we said it but didn't mean it that way. Anyway,
thank goodness this inning's over. Time to stretch. Is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Tim McCarver, Jim Hayes, Dan McLaughlin with you. Cardinals leading by the score of 3-1. Adam Wainwright pitching into the 7th inning again. They'll get the 8th place hitter, the pitcher spot, and then the top of the lineup, Curtis Granderson.
He's going to be the pitcher of the month. You know that.
Should
Gotta be.
Yep.
And after what he went through coming back from that Achilles heel injury of last year and gathering strength over the first 4 months of the season, and to be doing what he's doing in July is nothing short of remarkable.
Jim Hayes had a really good and insightful interview with Adam Wainwright. It was about a month.
Saw that. Oh, I remember it. Yeah.
Month and a half ago.
Great interview.
You know, Adam basically said, we've tested the Achilles and it's not as strong as it should be compared to the one that's healthy. And now we're getting it back to even strength. And sure enough, now you're seeing Wainwright look like Adam Wainwright.
Yeah.
That was the first time he had addressed that with anybody.
Mm-hmm. Some of the questions Jim asked him, even Adam reluctantly said, yes, that's true.
I would imagine, though, at some point, as much as you want to keep things inside and not use it as an excuse, you also are a proud guy and you want to explain yourself.
Exactly. Sure. And you want to tell the truth. And there's a man who explains himself very well and tells the truth.
Yep. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Pitch count at 89 for Wainwright. Broxton getting loose along with Dean Kiekefer. The 1-2. Lined into right, a soft liner and a leadoff base hit.
Wainwright upset with himself right now, not because of the pitch, but because of the location. He wanted that ball in to break the bat of d'Arnaud. Wasn't in quite enough.
Alejandro De Aza started game 2 in right field of the doubleheader yesterday. He'll pinch hit for Logan Verrett. Nobody out, runner at first, and ball 1. Hansel Robles, right-hander, appeared in Game 2 yesterday, throwing in the pen for the Mets. So Verrett, 7 innings, 3 runs on only 5 hits, strikes out 7, walked 2. One of those walks was to the pitcher Wainwright, who came around to score that 3-run 3rd inning for the Cardinals. The 1-1. I think the question becomes right now, if Diaza gets aboard, does Mike Matheny go to his pen to face the left-handed hitting Granderson?
I would say yes. Bring in the left-hander.
And a high strike. 2-2.
4 straight fastballs to Diaza. I think you almost have to throw the curveball right here. Coming off the bench. Of course, he's been watching Wainwright pitch for 6.5 innings, but still that curveball is in order right here. Molina wants it down.
Gets it outside. So June and July going deeper into games. Three-2 pitch. Fly ball into right center. That ball will get down. Pham gets it back in quickly. Runners at the corners for the Mets and nobody out here in the bottom of the 7th.
That was a cutter that didn't cut inside, kind of a hanging cut fastball. Good play by Pham to hold Diaza to first base. It's a thing, even though Wainwright occasionally will get a ground ball, he's not a ground ball pitcher, and that's what makes this situation tenuous for Mike Matheny. Got the left-hander ready. Broxton's ready.
Cabrera on deck, a switch hitter. But right now, Wainwright worried about Granderson. The tying runs are aboard. First pitch, a beauty. That was a tire service.
That was a curveball he was looking for to throw Diaza and missed on that 2-2 pitch.
Oh, 1 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Curtis Granderson 1 for 9 in his career against Adam Wainwright. 0 for 3 tonight. So it's interesting here. Mike Matheny rolling the dice with his starter here at 98 pitches. And the tying runs aboard. The 1-1. One pitch. 2-2.
Good pitch from Wainwright. Ball had some giddy up on it. A 2-1 fastball. Aired that one out.
The 2-2. Granderson hits it foul.
Tell you, here's a situation, Dan, that puts an awful lot of pressure on the runner at third base. You're trailing by 2 runs. This curveball is hit foul. The one thing you don't want to do, Tim Teufel's talking to him right now, is if the ball's not hit sharply on the ground, you don't want to run, because guys like a third baseman, Jed Jerko, is going to come home with the ball. He won't go for a double play. But if it's hit hard to a middle infielder, that's when he'll try to score.
2-2 again. Struck him out. Granderson strikes out. That all-important first out for Adam Wainwright. Third strikeout for the Cardinal right-hander.
And all have been big.
Well, so far, it's been a night of frustration for the Mets in their offense. You go back to the 4th, 2 runners on, strikeout of Conforto to end the inning, strikeout of Cabrera with a runner on in the 5th, 2 runners on in the 6th, and got out of that jam. That was a good breaking ball there to Granderson.
Really a tightly wrapped curveball.
First and third for Asdrubal Cabrera.
Cabrera took a 3rd strike, an inside fastball his last time up.
Strike 1. In many ways, a roll of the dice here by Mike Matheny to elect to stay with Wainwright, who's been hanging some of these breaking balls. But in a way, he's saying, look, this is our number 1. This is our stopper. We win or lose with him. Better curveball there. 0-2 the count. What's he come with no balls and 2 strikes?
Another hook.
The 0-2 pitch by Wainwright. Not a bad pitch on 0-2.
No, not a bad at all, particularly when you have Molina back there. Human vacuum.
One ball, 2 strikes.
Another curveball. Nope. Wants the cutter. So Wainwright staring off the curveball and wanted to go to the cutter, and now Yadier Molina wants to talk. He may go out there and then come back and not give a sign. They may have a verbal sign right now. If you want the cutter, throw the cutter. Molina's giving him his thought on the thing. So do you go to your 4-seam fastball? That's what he struck Cabrera out with his last time up. Or his curveball. That was the 2nd strike to Cabrera here. Or the cutter inside. No sign.
The 1-2 pitch. Reaching for it and a foul ball. Went with the curveball again.
So it's gripping, huh?
It is.
Fastball inside.
The 1-2 pitch. tails back in. Ooh, he thought about punching him. You could see that home plate umpire got up and he was ready to.
That's a good call, Dan. It was certainly a new. Just inside. Curveball.
The 2-2. He got him. A strikeout of Cabrera. Back-to-back strikeouts for Adam Wainwright. And now 1 out away from pitching out of this jam here in the bottom of the 7th.
He has 4 strikeouts, 2 with fastballs and 2 with breaking balls. Granderson and Cabrera both going down on curves. Now Cespedes.
He is 1 for 3 tonight. His base hit was back in the 6th. It was a hanging breaking ball, and he singled into center field. A .277 average with runners in scoring position. Wainwright has struck out 4, none bigger than the last 2. If he gets Cespedes, you will hear the boos here in New York. Cutter misses low and away. Pitch count at 109 for Adam Wainwright. One way or another, this is Wainwright's last batter, considering the success that Loney has had against him.
Good point and a correct point.
Molina sets up outside, hits his spot, 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 for 11 against Wainwright with 4 strikeouts.
Cespedes, all 3 times up, has hit fastballs. He's ripe for the curveball right here. Outfield deep, of course.
The 1-1 went inside. 2 balls and a strike. The 2-1. Now it's 2-2.
Went with the cutter. All hard to Cespedes.
Wainwright circling the pitching rubber.
Well, if anybody's set up for a breaking ball, it's Cespedes on this pitch. 4 straight fastballs or cutters thus far. Here comes the curve. Right pitch in my view.
The 2-2. Runner goes. And the pitch gets away to the backstop, and a run will score. Wild pitch charged to Wainwright, allowing Darno to score to make it a 3-2 St. Louis lead.
Adam trying to put a little extra on that, and the curveball, about a 58-footer, gets by Molina. Tough chance. And a 3-2 ball game.
So base hit could tie it. 3-2 with 2 outs.
Now you have first base open. I think they'll go back to a curveball right here.
On 3-2, the next 2, Cespedes. Hit down the right field line and foul.
That was a cutter that gives you an idea of the tremendous plate coverage of Yoenis Cespedes. That's a tough pitch. Ball low and away. You kidding me?
Diaz with good speed at second base. 3-2 pitch again to Cespedes. Ground ball, foul. It's turned out to be a very long 7th inning, 29 pitches for Adam Wainwright. Inning started with a base hit by d'Arnaud, soft liner to right. Diaz on a 3-2 pitch singled. Then back-to-back strikeouts of Granderson and Cabrera. Wild pitch scoring d'Arnaud. And so here we are, a 3-2 game and a 3-2 count. The next to Cespedes. What a battle this has become. The 3-2 again. Cespedes with a fly ball, left center. He beats Wainwright. Mets have now hit 27 home runs in their last 14 home games, and a big one off the bat of Cespedes. The reaction of number 50. And it tells it all. Bats, one of the best innings, whether you like the Cardinals, like the Mets. That is high drama here at Citi Field.
Boy, I'll say, at its best. People might say, well, he got the curveball up. Well, Cespedes has to hit it, too. How many times have you seen pitches like that popped up, grounded out? Two professional people going at one another, and Cespedes won that battle.
It brings in now Kiefer against Loney. So as we said, Mike Matheny rolled the dice. Could have brought in Kiefer to face Granderson, but Wainwright got the strikeout there. Strikeout of Cabrera. Wild pitch led to a run. Went 3-2 on Cespedes, and he won the battle. Ground ball that's hit to short. Aledmys Diaz with the play in the stretch by Adams. Cardinals have to come back. Mets on top. It's now 4-3. The pen takes his two, Addison Reed, and this guy has been outstanding. 5 earned runs over 34 2/3 since May 1st. That's a 1.30 ERA. Overall this year, 1.91. Former closer. 5th lowest ERA in the National League. Second in the majors, 23 holds. The aforementioned Aaron Heilman holds the single season franchise record for the Mets with 26. So it looks like Reed will at least tie that, probably break it.
That's what makes it tough. The Mets tough in the 8th and 9th innings. They have 2 closers, one for the 8th, one for the 9th. Reed, a former closer, had 101 saves.
Diaz trying to bunt his way on and bunts it foul.
That was when he was with the White Sox. 2 years with the White Sox, 1 with Arizona.
A 1 pitch, quick pitch that time to Diaz.
The ball looked high. But here's the situation. Because of Addison Reed, I would not guard the line at third base. His best pitches are sliders away, fastballs away, and Diaz loves that hole between short and third. That's the slider. Diaz is not going to get anything inside unless it's a mistake. So by guarding the line, that leaves that hole alive on the left side between the shortstop and your third baseman.
Here's a 1-2. And Diaz with a fly ball out to deep right field. That stays in the ballpark as Diaz makes the catch. Barrett, 7 innings, 3 runs on 5 hits, struck out 7, walked 2. No home runs allowed, and here's Stephen Piscotty.
Speaking of home runs, if you're wondering, and I know most of you folks in St. Louis are, how many home runs Reed has given up? 3. Pretty stingy.
1 on, nobody on. Piscotty, strike 1. He has come up with a runner in scoring position twice tonight. Struck out. He's also walked. Oh, and 2. Here's an 0-2 pitch to Stephen Piscotty. Big gap in left center.
In this age, Dan, and we talk about it so much, of babying pitchers, I had a smile on my face the other day in an article about Addison Reed saying that, look, I'll say this once, and that's all I'm going to say it this year. I'm paid to pitch. I don't get tired. I don't get hurt. I'm paid to pitch. And he's pitched very well.
You never hear that.
How many times do you hear that?
Right.
That's almost never from pitchers now.
First time I've heard that this year.
Yeah. I'm paid to pitch.
Find a way. Here's a 1-2 pitch to Stephen Piscotty. 2 down. Don't miss St. Louis's biggest office party and the workplace wellness event of the year. The Biz Dash is Thursday, September 15th at Ballpark Village. Live music, company tailgates, and more. Fox Sports Midwest presents the friendly industry team competition. So create your company team. Join the fun by visiting stlbizdash.com. Here's Holiday. Tough night for Piscotty. 3 strikeouts. Holiday, a 2-out double that scored 2. Back in the third, and there's strike 1. That ball just exploding back inside on Matt Holiday.
That's a tough combination that Reed throws right-handed batters. He's got the fastball inside that explodes and the slider away from right-handers. You got 2 pitches that can get you out on either side of the plate.
0-2. Holiday didn't like that call. You got Familia set for the 9th for the Mets. The 0-2 pitch to Holiday. You know, Reed doesn't throw 100 miles an hour, but some of the swings are so late. They talk about how well he hides the ball.
That's very well pointed out. Sometimes it's not how hard you throw, it's how hard you look throwing.
Hide the ball, deception.
Yeah, radar guns are very deceptive.
Quick pitch at times. Reed has done that. The 2-2. Full count.
That was close. He almost has a slide step from his set position. It's very unusual delivery for a reliever with nobody on.
And a lot of times you see a reliever get the sign, come set. It's almost like a 1, 2, 3. Then they deliver. Reed gets
deliberate.
it. Yeah.
Too deliberate. Yeah.
Reed gets it and goes. That's the longest he has held it in this inning. Back to Reed. His step and throw. 1, 2, 3. Top of the 8th. Mets on top here in game 3, 4-3. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light. Raise 1-2 right now. And by Ford, the official cars and trucks of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Lady in the Harbor, beautiful.
Fun city, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
A thrilling, even if you are a Cardinals fan, a thrilling 7th inning with drama, decisions, and players that are, you know, two of the best in the world at what they do. Adam Wainwright, Yoenis Cespedes. Cespedes wins the battle. It was really interesting after the wild pitch, and you've got Cespedes up at the plate, first base open. You certainly could have thought of walking or pitching around him.
It's 3-2. It would be unusual to walk him, maybe give Wainwright a chance to work out of it. And Cespedes fouled off 3 pitches. One, a nasty curveball, a cutter down the right field line. Actually, 2 curveballs and a cutter. And then another curveball.
And you're Mike Matheny, you're saying, this is my horse, this is my number 1. I've gone this far with him in the inning and in the game.
That's right.
It's his to win or lose.
That's right. If he walks Cespedes,
he's not pitching to Loney.
No, there's no way. No way he pitches to Loney.
Here's Neil Walker. But high drama in the 7th, and the Mets have the lead 4-3. Jonathan Broxton, third pitcher used by the Cardinals. Kiefer got the final out in the bottom of the 7th. 4-3 Mets. That's hit out of play. It's almost one of those situations, Tim, where you throw out the numbers and you're saying, look, this is my guy. Adam Wainwright, we've been through thick and thin.
Couldn't agree more.
But we win or lose with him going against Cespedes. Whether you like the call or not, that's the call. 1-2 pitch to Neil Walker. A broken back ground ball under the glove of Garcia and into center field. Leadoff base hit by Walker. Take a look at the Nissan drive of the game, and it was a no-doubter hit by Cespedes. Wainwright knew it. Cespedes knew it. This big crowd went wild. The back end of games, Jeurys Familia. 36 for 36 in save opportunities this year.
What a night by Neil Walker. Been on base 4 times, 3 singles, a walk, and an RBI.
There's Wilmer Flores, 1 for 3. And Familia getting loose in the pen for New York.
Broxton trying to hold it to 1 run.
That's the other side of this. Keeping this a 1-run game. It's not over. You still have 3 outs.
Of course not. That's right. Against a guy who has had some leakage, even though he's had 52 straight saves, 36 this year. He is running into some problems.
Yes, he has. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cardinals have turned 1 double play tonight. The check on the runner at first. Walker, just 2 steals this year. The pitch that's up, little check swing. Runner advances. That's Walker to second base as Flores is out. What's on Tap is presented by Budweiser. Michael Wacha, Jose Fernandez will be in Miami tomorrow night. We'll come your way at 5:30. It's our Budweiser What's on Tap. Kelly Johnson will be the hitter. He pinch hits for Conforto. So Johnson at the plate. Runner at second base. 4-3 Mets. And a pitch taken inside. We'll see d'Arnaud and then Diaz, part of that inning in which he pinch hit and stayed in the game. Here's a 1-0. Ground ball right side. Adams will take it himself. 2 down. Walker advancing from second to third. Looking ahead to the ninth, the Cardinals have Adams, Jerko, Molina coming up. It was d'Arnaud who started the rally against Wainwright last inning with that soft liner to right field. He's 2 for 3 tonight, and he's bounced into a double play to go along with 2 singles. A slider and a strike. Fastball at the knees, and it's 0-2.
Good fastball in a good spot by Broxton.
So it's 0-2. Familia is loose and ready to go in the pen for the top of the ninth. Broxton trying to send us there. The 0-2 pitch. Jammed him. Foul ball.
Good pitch. Whenever a pitcher and a catcher see that bat pointed toward the pitcher, inside is the place to go. The reason for that, and we talked about it last night, d'Arnaud has so far to go to try to hit that pitch cleanly. He may get that pitch again. Then if he looks inside, that's when you throw the slider away.
Yeah, as you said, you mentioned it last night. I've been watching the at-bats today. The Cardinals have tried to just pound him in.
Yeah, broke his bat against Wainwright for that hit in the 7th inning. Same pitch again, I think.
The 0-2, Molina sets up inside and caught more of the plate than they'd like.
Yeah, didn't get it in there. Broxton upset, realizing that could have been a dangerous location right there. Slider away, intended away.
On the outside corner, hit his spot, and a strikeout for Broxton. d'Arnaud words with the home plate umpire. Familia coming on. It's 4-3 Mets. the pen, 6'3", 250-pounder, Jeurys Familia. The right-hander is 36 of 36 in save opportunities. Henry Mejia, you may remember, was the closer for the Mets and then suspended for good because of PEDs, and it opened up the door for Familia, and boy, is he taking advantage of that, and then some.
Hard, heavy fastball. Will throw a split when he gets ahead of left-handed batters in particular.
July 5th against Pittsburgh, the last time the Cardinals did not homer in a game. No home runs here tonight as they're trying to make it 18 straight. Right about now, if you're a Cardinal fan, this would be the time to do it. Familia finished third in the major leagues, 43 saves a year ago. We saw him last night. Matt Adams, first man he'll face.
Make him throw strikes. The Cardinals do have a tendency to swing at bad balls when they get anxious, and Matt Adams is one of them. Make him throw a strike should be your mantra.
Here's a 1-0 pitch to Adams. 1 ball, 1 strike. Adams, a 2-out RBI double back in the third. He is struck out and flied out. (48-0) when leading after the 8th. The Mets in 2016. See, that pitch right there is a good example of what you're talking about. Looks like a strike, falls out of the zone.
Yes.
A lot of hitters chase that pitch against Familia. The 2-1. (2-2). Adams with a fly ball. Backing up Cespedes. 1 away. He's had so many big hits the last 10 days or so. Jedd Gyorko comes up with 1 out here in the 9th. 0 for 3 today. Pair of groundouts, and he struck out swinging in the 6th. If you're wondering, no home runs allowed by Familia this year.
Hard to lift that heavy sinker.
The 1-0. 2 balls, no strikes.
Now, when you're looking for a strike, it's not just any strike. It's not a strike away. It's right in your wheelhouse. What is your wheelhouse? Well, Jedd Gyorko can handle the fastball, anybody's fastball. So look for a fastball over the middle of the plate. Try to simplify it as much as you can.
3-0.
I think Michael turned him loose here. I would. Been red hot.
Thinking you get the fastball.
Yeah, got to.
3-0 pitch to Gyorko. And he walked him. So the tying run is aboard. Go-ahead run comes to the plate. You know, you can think about a Colton Wong or a Randal Grichuk in pinch running for Jedd Gyorko here. And that's what the Cardinals will do. It'll be Randal Grichuk.
Actually, a good spot for a hit and run.
Yeah.
I mean, Yadier Molina talked about no home runs yielded by Familia. Only 3 hit by Yadi. You know he's going to hit a ground ball somewhere. That's what he often does.
Molina drives it out to center field. Lagares back, won't get it. It's all the way to the wall. Grichuk racing to third. Molina has tied this game up against Familia.
Wow. Wow is right. The only question was, Lagares was shading Molina to right center field. The only question was whether it would get up or not, and does it ever get up? Over the head of Lagares. Grichuk can read that ball. It's right in front of him and scores easily. Boy, he came awfully close to missing third base then. That was really close.
Remember what we talked about yesterday against Syndergaard, Molina, the hits against 95 miles an hour or above?
Yes, good point.
In the top 5 of baseball, adding to that first blown save, and it's almost been a full calendar year. Now Hazelbaker with the potential go ahead a winning run at second base. Hazelbaker, a little tapper back to Familia, throws to third, and a good play by Wilmer Flores on the shortstop. I was seeing that ball going to the first row of the stands.
I was too. A pitcher making a throw to a base, particularly on a tag play. We've seen that messed up so many times. Good play by Flores to make that catch. So many decisions. I mean, you'd send Hazelbaker normally, but if you send Hazelbaker, you lose Wong as a pinch hitter unless you keep him in the game. That's the problem with sending Hazelbaker right now.
With his speed, ball in the gap, he probably scores, even as deep as they're playing.
True.
Certainly can make the case he is the fastest Cardinal on this roster, and he can fly. Seth Maness, Seung-Hwan Oh getting loose. Diaz, Lagares, and Cabrera due up for the Mets in the bottom of the ninth. The Cardinals have tied it up against Familia. Strike one on Colt Wong. What a ball game this has been.
There is nothing like a quiet stadium on the road for the Cardinals.
Four, top of the ninth. Runner at first, Hazelbaker. 2 outs, no balls and a strike. Oh, 1 pitch to Wong. Check swing, did go, nothing in 2. There goes Hazelbaker on the 0-2, and it's tapped foul.
Boy, and a good jump, too. Jeremy had a very, very good jump. Wong, of course, with 2 strikes, has to swing if the pitch is anywhere close. Understandably.
These fans in New York have seen enough of Yadier Molina over the years.
They really have.
Oh, 2 pitch.
Thing about, excuse me, Dan, thing about Familia is that he throws his pitches so heavily that it's very difficult for a catcher with the modest arm like d'Arnaud anyway. It's very difficult to bring that ball, if the pitch is a good pitch, to bring it up and make the transfer at the right shoulder.
1-2 pitch. Hazelbaker running, and the pitch is hit down the left field line. Cespedes over, and it is a foul ball. And Cespedes, it looked like, may have been able to make a play on that.
That was weird.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
Didn't go in the stands.
No.
And he certainly was there in time to make a catch.
It looked like it landed on the field of play. Don't know.
1-2 the count here on Wong. Hazelbaker running, throw down to second, and he is safe. So stole the base, Jeremy Hazelbaker. And once again here, Tim, looking at how this game has unfolded, it's another walk that comes around to score. Remember, that was a walk to Jedd Gyorko on 4 pitches.
Yeah, right.
Good point. Put the tying run on.
Mike Matheny taking a chance there, and a chance well worth it. Now it's up to Wong, who's had just a dreadful year. If he could get a hit here, it would boost his confidence and the Cardinals' confidence.
The 2-2 pitch to Kolten Wong. On its way. Familia to Wong, pitch number 19 of the inning. Hit the other way. It is a fair ball inside the left field line. Hazelbaker will score. Wong diving into second base as he comes through. Cardinals go on top. It's 5-4.
That is one of the few times we've seen Kolten Wong smile this year.
Isn't that the truth? Good for Kolten.
Huge double after the stolen base by Hazelbaker. And the Cardinals, remarkably, are ahead in this ball game.
Don't point. Make sure you're safe.
No, don't point. If you're going to go to second, don't point.
But you know what, Tim? He was safe. So we'll just move on.
He was safe. Oh.
Boy, if the Cardinals hold on and win this game, this is certainly one of the signature wins of the season. Adam Wainwright now is off the hook. Yadier Molina delivers with the double to tie this game up. Gyorko a key walk. Kolten Wong after a stolen base by Hazelbaker. And now it's Greg Garcia, who did single off Familia last night.
Well, they're going to walk Garcia. I don't know if I'd do this now with Diaz. As hot a hitter as he is. I mean, here's a left-right situation. I don't think I'd go for that. I'm Terry Collins. I mean, the Cardinals love for this to happen. They love it.
Manus then would sit. O comes in, save situation potentially.
I mean, not that Greg Garcia couldn't drive in a run, but Diaz, a good clutch hitter, batted over 300 all year. And now an intentional walk leaves it up to him.
What a ball game this has been.
Really.
So Mike Matheny in this inning, pinch running Grichuk. That pays off.
Absolutely.
The double by Molina. Hazelbaker pinch hitter, but then with his speed, allowing him to steal with 2 strikes on Wong. Wong delivers as a pinch hitter with a double, and now it's Aledmys Diaz. First time allowing 2 or more earned since May 29th against the Dodgers.
Again, if Hazelbaker is thrown out, to give you an idea about how good an idea that was by Mike Matheny, if Hazelbaker's thrown out, you lose Wong as a hitter. And then you got a tie game with nobody on the bench. But by Hazelbaker making it, then Wong is allowed to hit, gets the double, and puts the Cards on top.
A roll of the dice.
Yes, sir.
We've said that a few times tonight.
Yes, sir.
This is as quiet as Citi Field has been the last 2 days.
Yes, sir.
Give me some money.
No, sir.
Here's the 0-1. 0-2 on Diaz.
That was a tough pitch right there. That slider from Familia. We've seen Diaz adapt, adjust.
It's a huge gap in left center.
That's where his power is.
Thinking the same thing. The 0-2 pitch to Aledmys Diaz. Got him. Cardinals strand 2, but they pick up 2, and one of the biggest hits of the year off the bat of Kolten Wong. 5-4 as we head to the bottom of the ninth. Biggest hits he's had this year. A double against Jerry's Familia. How did it all unfold? Ninth inning. Yadier Molina, after a walk to Jerko Grichuk, the pinch runner, scores from first base. That tied it up. Hazelbaker had stolen second, and Kolten Wong delivers with 2 strikes. He had fouled a couple of pitches off as well, and some emotion from the Redbirds' second baseman. 2 big hits in one of the biggest nights of the season. So Greg Garcia, he is at third base. Wong is at second. The new pitcher is Seung-Hwan Oh. It's our Chevy call to the pen. The first batter is Diaz. Hazelbaker in left field for the Cardinals. First pitch is a strike. Grichuk in center. Piscotty is in right. What proves to be big in this game, often overlooked, the stranded runners. Mets have had a bunch here tonight, including last inning when they had a runner on against Jonathan Broxton in scoring position, and he kept it at that time a 4-3 Mets lead. 1 ball, 1 strike on Alejandro Diaz. 1-2. Could be a confidence boost to this team, but certainly for that young man right there, Kolten Wong. Time will tell.
It is definitely making him feel better already, and the Cardinals along with it.
1-2 pitch. Fly ball shallow left. That should be caught, and it is. Jeremy Hazelbaker, and that all-important first out. The long history between these two teams, which dates back to the early 1960s, there have been some great games, and not to say this is one that stands out as historic by any means, but this has been a fun one and a good one.
It really has.
Here's Juan Lagares with 1 out and nobody on for the Mets. Fastball and a strike at 94. And nothing would be sweeter than a quick 1-2-3 for the Cardinals. Crowd tonight 37,851. 37851 here at Citi Field.
If any right-handed hitter for the Mets, they know now they're right-handed hitters that if they're going to get O, they're going to have to hit that pitch, that slider low and away. He's not going to come inside.
You know, Tim, he doesn't come inside righties or lefties.
No, it's true. Left-handers are a lot tougher to pitch to for him because of that slot that he has to the outside part of the plate against right-handed batters.
1-2 pitch to Juan Lagares. He struck him out. 2 down. And the Cardinals 1 out away from making it 2 of 3. Our Budweiser player of the game is Kolten Wong. RBI double in the 9th to put the Cardinals on top. Asdrubal Cabrera, the final hope for the Mets. He has 13 home runs, with 11 of the 13 coming from this side of the plate. 2 outs, nobody on. First pitch, a ball. The 1-0. 1 ball, 1 strike. One thing you love about O, he gets the ball and goes.
Intrepid.
The 1-1 pitch, Seung-Hwan Oh. 1-2. Little extra giddy up on that pitch.
He did. 4-seam fastball, blew it right by Cabrera.
On 1-2. A fly ball. Left field. This should do it. In maybe the win of the year for the Cardinals. They come back against Familia with 2 runs in the 9th, and they win it 5-4, and they take 2 of 3 here in New York.
Aledmys Diaz, his first move was toward Wong at second base. As we said, one of the few times this year that we've seen a smile on his face. It's from ear to ear right now.
What a win for the St. Louis Cardinals. 2 runs in the 9th off of Jerry's Familia. He hadn't blown a save all year. Colton Wong delivers. The postgame show comes your way next.